at 7 p.m. On the committee is myself, Councilor Reynolds, and Councilor Tavares. We have two items today. Just the first item that is on here, that's listed on here, the solid waste item, just for the record, is FYI, so that is not an item that we need to deal with. All right, so moving on. So next item. From the docket of July 15th, 2025, I entertain a motion to approve the Attleboro building permit fee waiver application from Union Theater Plaza LLC in Illuminate Creative and Theatrical Arts Company, 68 Union Street.
Second.
Motion is in order. So on Tuesday, we heard from Attorney Jacoby and Jennifer Keating about this item. I think this is a great thing, and I encourage us to move forward with this. This is a very positive thing for the city, and I think they're investing a lot of money into restoring Union Theater, and I think waiving these fees, in my opinion, is the least we can do. So I'm very supportive of this. I think it makes a lot of sense. Any other comments?
Ditto.
All right, hearing no other comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, from the docket of July 15th, 2025, I entertain a motion to amend the revised ordinances as follows. Amend section 3-4.1 by striking the entire section and replace with the following. 3-1.4, compensation of inspectors. A, in accord with the practice of the Attleboro Building Department, the inspector of plumbing shall receive as compensation for services they performed up to 65% of the fees received for permits, said amount not to exceed $5,000 per permit. 2, the inspector of gas shall receive as compensation for services they performed percent of the received for permits, said not to exceed $5,000 per permit. The inspector of wires shall receive as compensation for services they performed up to 65% of the fees received for permits, said amount not to exceed $5,000 exceed per permit. The assistant inspectors of wires, plumbing, and gas shall be paid $40 per inspection. Amend section 3-7 by striking the last two paragraphs of the existing section as follows. 3-7 permits. Applications for building permits, occupancy permits, gas piping, plumbing permits, electrical permits, sheet metal permits, and mechanical permits shall all be filed in the office of the building department. All permits shall be approved by the appropriate inspectors and posted on the work site in a conspicuous place prior to the start of activation of any work associated with such permits. The inspector of plumbing and gas shall receive as compensation for services rendered 65% of the gross amount of inspection fees generated and collected by the discharge of his or her duties. The assistant inspectors of wires, plumbing, and gas shall be paid $25 per inspection. The inspector of wires shall receive as compensation for services rendered 65% of the gross amount of the inspection fees generated and collected by the discharge of his or her duties. Amend section 20-3.2 by striking the entire section and replace with the following. 20-3.2 revenues. The city auditor shall establish the Protective Inspection Services Fund number 2603 as a separate fund and credit to the fund 65% of the fees paid for plumbing and gas inspection permits, said amount not to exceed $5,000 per permit, and 65% of the fees paid for electrical inspection permits, said amount not to exceed $5,000 per permit when needed to be performed by an outside contractor.
Second.
Motion is in order. So we had the public hearing on Tuesday. We heard from the building inspector, and he was very much in favor of this. I think it's fairly self-explanatory. The biggest thing that we're doing here is we're putting in an upper limit of $5,000 for individual permit inspections. Previously, for very large inspections, big, large jobs like at Sturdy, it was possible to exceed that number, and this is just making it a lot more reasonable. And so I think it's fairly self-explanatory. It's a long time coming, and we heard from the building inspector that he's supportive of adding in these limits. Any other comments? Vice President Dolan.
I just have a quick question. So up on B, on the second page, it says the assistant inspector of wires, plumbing, gas should be paid $40 per inspection. Then in 3-7, it says $25. Like, I don't know if that's an error, or am I not reading it properly? Do you see what I'm talking about?
No, I do.
I feel like it used to be $25, and they're raising it to $40. So I feel, I don't know if anybody agrees with me, but I feel like that might just be an error. Maybe we can check it by next week or something? Just do a friendly amendment?
Yes, and I know Bill McDonough mentioned, I'm pretty sure that is a Scribner's error, that second 25, because he mentioned that they were raising it from 25 to 40, and that is the intent. So I'm pretty sure that second $25 should be 40.
Okay.
Because part of, in the public hearing, he talked about it being raised from 25 to 40. So I will double check that for next month when we meet.
Okay.
So good call out there. Because I do know that was his intent, and it was something he brought up.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. And that concludes the business for the Finance Committee, and I move to adjourn at 7:07.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:07.
How do you want to do Pam?
Todd, you
When
gonna
do Can you cancel Pam?
Cancel IT and infrastructure.
I'd like to call to order the License Committee at 7:07. Beside me is Councilor Waterman. Councilor Holmes is absent. From the docket of July 15, 2025, I entertain a motion to approve a license application for keeping a stand in a public place at 25 South Main Street from the Attleboro Garden Club, 24 Handy Street, to sell holiday wreaths and decorations on November 22nd, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Yeah, I think kind of straightforward.
Yes, pretty straightforward.
Very good thing to have in the city, especially to get the seniors involved. So certainly hope everyone supports it. But if anyone has any questions, comments, and concerns. All right.
None.
Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. With that, I call for an adjournment at 7:08.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.
City Property and Claims Committee has no business and is canceled.
I'd like to call Public Works to order at 7:09. I have two motions this evening from the docket of August 19, 2025. I entertain a motion to transfer $2,140.78 from account 60005783000 wastewater enterprise fund reserve fund for transfer to account 60005780220 wastewater enterprise fund previous year's bills to pay a fiscal year 25 invoice for delivery of crushed stone received on 6/30/25.
Second.
Thank you. So they had a delivery of crushed stone. Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of August 19, 2025, I entertain a motion to transfer $476.12 from account 6000578 300, wastewater enterprise fund reserve fund for transfer to account 60005788020, wastewater enterprise fund previous year's bills for a fiscal year 25 invoice to purchase a repair part for PC2.
Second.
Thank you. PC2 is one of their trucks, the F350. And I guess in the initial repair quote, they didn't include this part. So that's what we need to pay for now. Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I'd like to call for an adjournment at 7:10.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
I'd like to call to order the Public Safety Committee at 7:10. Beside me is Councilor Angelo, and I'll be having this as Councilor Holmes is absent. From the docket of August 19, 2025, I entertain a motion to approve expending of such funds and any future grant amendments regarding the anticipated receipt of the fiscal year 26 911 training grant from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, EOPS, in the amount of $278,737.71.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Pretty straightforward and good to see grant money still coming in. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of August 19, 2025, I entertain a motion to hold a public hearing on August 19, 2025 to amend Section 6-4.3 of the revised ordinances as follows. Due to, I can't say that word, but an error on June 24, 2025 vote, strike and replace with the current ALS 2 emergency rate of $2,492.35 with $3,834.97.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Again, I think pretty straightforward. Just calling for a public hearing. If anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns.
Just more of a point about it, it's Scrivener's error. I think it's important to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just, so people don't think it's an error with the ordinance itself.
No, yeah, no worries at all. I appreciate that. For whatever reason, out in the heat, I cannot pick that word up tonight.
No worries.
So thank you for that. With that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of August 19th, 2025, I entertain a motion to transfer $31,850 from account 1220100-558310 fire uniforms to account 1220100-519110 fire clothing allowance.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Again, like everything else, pretty straightforward. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And from the docket of July 15th, 2025, I entertain a motion to amend Section 6-1.1, 15-1.1, 13-3.1, 13-4.1, and 13-6 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro to be amended as follows. Strike Section 6-1.1 in its entirety and replace with the following. Section 6-1.1 Organization. There is hereby established within the municipal government a fire department headed by a fire chief. The mayor shall appoint the fire chief from those persons who have qualified under civil service eligible list of the city in accordance with civil service laws, rules, and regulations. The fire chief shall have an employment contract agreed upon under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 108.0. This ordinance shall take effect upon passage. Strike Section 15-1.1 in its entirety and replace with the following. We just need to get to that here. Thank you. So Section 15-1.1 Organization. There is hereby established within the municipal government a police department headed by a police chief. The mayor shall appoint the police chief from those persons who have qualified under the civil service eligible list of the city in accordance with civil service laws, rules, and regulations. The chief of police shall have an employment contract agreed upon under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 108.0. This ordinance shall take effect upon passage. Section 13-3.1, amend by removing the positions of police chief and fire chief from the classification plan. Said amendment to take effect upon passage. Section 13-4.1, amend by removing the positions of police chief and fire chief from the compensation plan. Said amendment to take effect upon passage. Section 13-6, Personnel Rules and Regulations, amend by adding the following language in bold to Article I, Purpose and Application. The rules and regulations set forth herein shall apply to all full-time and part-time employees in grades .5 to 15 of the classification plan established under Section 13-3 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, hereinafter referred to as employee, except elected officials, the police chief and fire chief, and employees of the school committee, and shall govern the hours of duty, compensation, and other conditions of employment of such employees. Part-time employees shall include only those employees who work a regularly scheduled work week of at least 20 hours or more.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. This was what we had the public hearing for on Tuesday. And it is just shaping these positions up to fall in line with the newly adopted classification plan. But happy to have any questions, comments, or concerns. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. With that, I call for an adjournment at 7:15.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Excuse me. Voting for Human Resources and Veterans Committee. In the docket of August 19, 2025, entertain a motion to accept a donation of a gift certificate for cleaning services in the amount of $200 and a gift certificate for barbershop services in the amount of $50 from Amanda and Aria Lavoy of Attleboro.
Second.
Thank you, Council Tavares. Obviously, this is two great donations, and we appreciate the Lavoy family for doing this. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. That's all for Human Resources and Veterans Committee. I call for adjournment at 7:16.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned at 7:16.
Calling zoning, land use, and sustainability committee to order. I have myself, Vice President Dolan, and Councilor Lavoy with me in this committee. I have one item from the docket of June 3rd, 2025. I entertain a motion to accept and approve the recommendations from the Planning Board to amend zoning ordinance S.17-3.5, Table of Accessory Use Regulations, S.17-4.5.2, Accessory Dwelling Units, General Standards, and S.17-11.2, Definitions of the Zoning Ordinance.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. I also wanted to mention that there was a certificate of vote that we did receive that says that this is the certify that the planning board meeting held on Monday, July 14th, 2025. The planning board voted unanimously in favor, 8 yeas, 0 nays, 0 absent, 1 abstention, to recommend the municipal council to amend the zoning ordinance, specifically 17-3.5 Table of Accessory Use Regulations, 17-4.5.2 Accessory Dwelling Units, General Standards, and 17-11.2 Definitions of the Zoning Ordinance by adopting the following language relative to detached accessory dwelling units. There's many different items that are here. I don't know, should I be reading through all of these? It's just basically on the table that they're talking about with the specifications of the ADUs. Do we have any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And that is all I have for the zoning, land use, and sustainability committee for the evening, and I call for adjournment. I don't have a call to order, but the adjournment at 7:18. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Transportation and Traffic Committee has no business this evening. We'll meet at the next appropriate time.
I call ordinances, elections, and legislative matters to order at 7:19. Members of this committee include myself and Councilor Kopis. In the docket of President Delacy, if I may ask you, is there any reason why we would not be able to entertain the motion regarding the disclosure of financial interest from the city auditor that's dated for the docket of August 19th before we entertain that in committee?
I don't think so, but we don't get a lot of these, so what I would suggest is we can hold off on it. Maybe call for a committee meeting at 6:30 on the 19th. Gives you enough time to kind of look into it. It's something we want to make sure we get right.
Yeah, that's
I would
fine.
suggest talking with the city auditor on this, if you haven't already.
Yeah, I have not. I really looked at this as a formality, but in the interest of getting this right, I will.
So if I may, Counselor?
Yes.
I think this is a bit more of a formality, which is why I think there's value in you talking to the city auditor. This is what happens in the summer meetings. We get something in the communication on Tuesday, and we have to figure out, do we want to vote it out that Thursday or not? I always err on the side of caution. I think the more diligence, which you're known for doing your diligence, so I would suggest that that's the avenue you take.
Fair enough, agreed. Thank you for that. From the docket of May 20, 2025, I entertain a motion to amend the times within section 17-10.15, item F.6 of the city ordinances as follows. Marijuana retail sales or medical marijuana patient sales may not occur within the hours of 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. and may be further restricted as a condition of approval of the special permit issued by the special permit granting authority.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. So we received the planning board's certificate of vote on the 15th of this month, and they voted in favor of this change. 6 yeas, 2 nays, and 1 abstention. I won't rehash all of the points that I brought up in regards to this matter a couple weeks ago, but one of the items that I did spend some time researching and looking through, to Councilor LeBoy's point, was perhaps additional security at these retail marijuana locations. And my conclusion after doing some research and looking into this is I think that might be a bit superfluous and may not fit within, not that we couldn't do it, but not squarely within our realm as a council, is because the Cannabis Control Commission regulates a lot of that security regardless of the hours of operation for a lot of these marijuana retail establishments. I actually had meant to send this through Virginia to the council earlier, but didn't have a chance to, but I can certainly do it after this meeting. But just for the residents, so 935 CMR 500.110, just in case anyone's interested. And again, I'll send this out afterwards. It lays out a lot of the security requirements for marijuana establishments, and I can just read a couple just so you can kind of get the idea, but general security requirements. So they're required to have surveillance, alarm systems, and actual let's see, what did I want to skip to? Yeah, so continuous video surveillance, especially during transport and storage areas. Delivery vehicles must be equipped with external alarms, interior cameras, storage and driver areas, real-time video monitoring, secure storage, so storage areas like vaults, refrigerators, etc. must meet lighting, ventilation, space, and security standards. Areas must store outdated, damaged product separately and remain locked and alarmed. Then there's transportation protocols for when products coming in and out. There's a minimum of 2 licensed agents that have to accompany every transport between establishments. Even cash handling, so cash has to be transported in locked bags using unmarked vehicles. and always with 2 agents present. And then there's incident reporting and an audit process for that as well. And on top of that, all of these establishments have to actually conduct annual security audits by the commission that require approval. So, I mean, there's a long list of things here, and I just sort of scratched the surface. But in light of that, it seemed like it might not be the most appropriate for us to try to come up with additional security measures that make sense, being this appears to be very comprehensive from the Cannabis Control Commission. So that was my thought there. I'm prepared to move forward and vote this out of committee, but happy to hear any other feedback or questions or concerns if you have any, or the rest of the council. Councilor LeBlanc?
Thank you. I just want to thank you for taking the time, looking into that. It wasn't anything that would hold me back. It was something I was more interested in looking into, mostly just because I had gotten complaints from one of the dispensaries in the city prior to this even popping up. So it's kind of just, I happened to be hand in hand. But from what I gather, every other dispensary in the city is a great neighbor. We don't get much complaints, if any. So, but worth noting, like 2 weeks ago, I was driving down 95 at 11:30 at night, and I looked to my left, and the dispensary right on the highway there, I mean, the line was around the building at 11:30 at night. So, I mean, I would agree that this might bring in a lot more foot traffic to Attleboro, and hopefully, more money to local businesses. So, happy to support it.
I think I was on the highway at the same time as you, because I'm pretty sure I saw the same thing.
Hopefully having better luck at Twin River than me.
Any additional questions? Councilor Angelo.
Thanks, Councilor Torres. I'm all for this. I think it's great, and I think it's certainly going to help the city, and we need to do what we can to bring in more revenue and support the businesses in the city. So I'm definitely going to support this.
President Delicio.
Thank you. Yeah, I echo Councilor Angelo's sentiments. I think at the public hearing, the representatives from the business in front of us did a great job explaining the why. I think, and I can't think of the gentleman's name, the security individual did a great job talking about what the security measures were. At the end of the day, it's a business, and the business changes, business landscape changes, so if there's a need, it's not government's role to get in the way of business, so I wish them well.
Any additional questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. On the docket of April 1st, 2025, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor regarding the attached home rule petition calling for the establishment of a board to oversee use and occupancy payments for manufactured housing community accommodations in the city of Attleboro. Home rule petition of the city of Attleboro through its mayor and municipal council. We move to petition the general court to enact the following legislation providing for the establishment of a board to oversee use and occupancy payments for manufactured housing community accommodations in the city of Attleboro, Massachusetts, with the powers and duties set forth below, provided that the legislature may reasonably vary the form and substance of the requested legislation within the scope of the general public objectives of the petition. Whereas older adults currently make up 15.4% of the Massachusetts population, and this age group is expected to increase to 21% by the year 2030. Whereas in Massachusetts and across the country, institutional investors are buying up manufactured housing parks and raising land rents, forcing many senior and low-income residents out of their homes. Whereas in an environment of continually increasing housing costs, manufactured housing offers sustainable and affordable housing options. Whereas the city of Attleboro is a vibrant and increasingly diverse city with a growing senior population. Whereas Attleboro has 7 manufactured housing parks with approximately 622 mobile or manufactured homes, most of which are occupied by seniors living on fixed incomes and low-income persons and families. Whereas it is in the best interests of the city of Attleboro to protect its manufactured housing park residents from aggressive rent increases and risk of eviction. be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives in general court assembled and by the authority of the same as follows. Section 1, the City of Attleboro may, by its ordinances, establish a board for the purpose of overseeing the use and occupancy payments of manufactured housing parks in the city and for regulating minimum standards for use or occupancy of manufactured housing park accommodations and eviction of tenants therefrom. The board shall have all powers necessary or convenient to perform its functions, including those established by ordinance, and may make rules and regulations and require the registration by owners of manufactured housing parks under penalty of perjury of information relating to the manufactured housing park accommodations. Violations of any ordinance adopted pursuant to this act or any order of the rent board shall be punishable by a fine of not more than $5,000. Section 2A, the board established pursuant to Section 1 may make individual or general adjustments either upward or downward as may be necessary to assure that use and occupancy payments of a manufactured housing community in the city are established at levels that accommodate the occupants of each manufactured home. B, the board shall have powers necessary or convenient to perform the following functions. 1, may make rules and regulations to effectuate the purposes of this section. 2, require the registration by owners and operators of manufactured housing communities under penalty of perjury of information relating to the manufactured housing community accommodations. 3, sue and be sued. 4, compel the attendance of persons in the production of papers and information. And 5, issue appropriate orders which shall be binding on both the owner and tenants of such manufactured housing community accommodations. Section 3, the following factors among other relevant factors which the board may define by regulation shall be considered in determining whether manufactured housing community accommodations yield a fair net operating income. A, increases or decreases in property taxes. B, unavoidable increases or decreases in operating and maintenance expenses. C, capital improvements of the manufactured housing community as distinguished from ordinary repair, replacement, and maintenance. D, increases or decreases in space, services, equipment, or other similar factors. E, substantial deterioration of the manufactured housing community other than as a result of ordinary wear and tear. And F, failure to perform ordinary repair, replacement, and maintenance. Section 4, Chapter 38 of the general laws shall apply to the board as if it were an agency of the Commonwealth, including provisions relating to judicial review of an agency order. Section 5A, the district court shall have original jurisdiction concurrently with the superior court of all petitions for review brought pursuant to Section 14 of said Chapter 30A. B, the superior court shall have original jurisdiction to enforce this act and any ordinances adopted thereunder and restrain violations thereof. Section 6, the personnel, if any, of the board shall not be subject to Chapter 31 or Section 9A of Chapter 30 of the general laws. Section 7, this act shall take effect upon its passage.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. So as I'm sure many counselors know at this point, and obviously this predates me, this was submitted to the general court, or otherwise known as the legislature, several years ago and expired. So I saw the public hearing as really a formality, but also it's clear that the interest in having a rent control board is just as important now as it probably was at the time, or arguably even more important now as housing costs have continued to rise and has tracked closely with inflation, which obviously has ballooned over the last couple of years. Generally not in favor of rent control, but whereas this is for a small segment of housing that is most sensitive to affordability, I think it's really important to think about how we can protect especially our seniors here in the city. So I'm in favor of approving this motion and sending this back up to the legislature, but I'd be happy to take any questions, comments, or concerns that the council may have. President Felicio.
Thank you. So thank you for your sentiments, Jonathan, because I agree with really everything you said. I generally am not for rent control. This is a segment of our population that needs help. And, you know, most of us are going to be spending the next several months talking about, we're going to take care of seniors and we want to help seniors. Well, here's an opportunity for us to do just that. And it's not just seniors, I understand that. I have a good amount of friends that live in Sandcastle, as I know Mr. Waterman does as well, and some of the other communities. This is real. I mean, they're on a fixed income. They can't handle some of the increases. And what's scary is if you look, one of the quickest growing populations of homeless people, from my understanding, is actually our seniors. Not just in Attleboro, but really across. So we have an opportunity as a body to do something right now. We can partner with our state delegation. I know Rep. Hawkins has done a lot with this over the years. I know this was a passion project as well. I think Council Holmes had done some work in the past on this. So it's impressive, and I'm glad to see us at this point with this. The turnout Tuesday night was amazing. Like, that's why we had public hearings. We want to hear from the public, and I think we all heard pretty loud and clear from some pretty amazing public speakers, even if one didn't think she did great. I thought she was awesome. So thank you, Jonathan, for fast-tracking this.
Councilor Waterman?
I ditto everything that you said. In a case like this, we never know when a transaction occurs and another company buys up and then runs Sandcastle. So the issue of fast tracking, I think, here is very important. And the Social Security goes up a couple % a year, but rents go up a lot quicker. So I'm totally supportive.
Thank you. I too support this. I think it's great. I appreciate your work on it, and especially getting the public hearing. I think it's important not only for ourselves, but anyone within the state delegation watching, that this is a problem, a growing problem, a fast-growing problem, and also a unique one. I too don't generally support rent control, but we're talking about a scenario where these people own their homes, but they rent the land these homes are on. And oftentimes you can get trapped in that scenario where someone doesn't want to purchase the property you now own because the rents are sky high, just for the land under it. So, and I think that most of the time we don't see any immense amount of change in any upkeep measures, infrastructure enhancements. We don't really see any change. We just see the rates go up. So I certainly support this in this instance, and I think, I hope the state passes it. I think this could be great. Thank you.
I too agree with this fast tracking. I think that it was really concerning to hear about how fast the rents go up for the land, where they were talking about $400 to now $700, and if your Social Security is static and that's all you have, that's going to be like all you can afford, and then are you going to buy food or medicine that you need as well? So I really do agree this is a great thing that we need to do and fast track it forward. Thank you.
Everybody's had a lot of great comments, and I think this is extremely important, and hopefully this maybe in the future can deter some of these bigger corporations just coming buying things out, where maybe it'll give, as Councilor Thibodeau had mentioned, these larger corporations coming in and not giving them the opportunity, or eliminating their opportunity to go in and being able to buy it themselves and handle it on their own, and the costs are just getting out of control, and it's only going to get worse. So I'm hoping this gets done in a quick manner, which probably won't happen, but I'd love to see it happen as quick as possible, and this is extremely important, so I'll fully support this.
And another note, this isn't just an Attleboro issue, right? This is happening in a lot of other communities throughout the Commonwealth. And I recall during the budget hearings in the legislature several weeks back that one particular senator had brought this up as a concern in their district. And so I'm hoping that, the awareness has been raised over the last several years, and hopefully, this is something that the legislature just can't ignore, because hopefully this is not just coming from Attleboro, this is coming from other communities who are looking for some sort of help to try to manage the housing costs for the most vulnerable populations in their communities. So, any additional questions, comments, concerns? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion passes. That concludes the business for ordinances, elections, and legislative matters. I call for an adjournment at 7:38.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
I call to order a special committee on classification compensation at 7:39. Council is present, myself, Council Tavares, and Council Reynolds. We have one matter to discuss today. From the docket of August 19, 2025, I entertain a motion to call for a public hearing on August 19, 2025 regarding a proposed amendment to sections 13-3, classification plan, and 13-4, compensation plan by adding the following new position: information systems technician, SATS 1, and it'd be salary would be from $66,338 to $76 to $89,557.02.
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, so basically, we have other positions that are going to be brought forward at a public hearing on 9/16, but we want to, basically have a public hearing on August 19th, and we'll discuss this further.
So, thank you, Councilor Angelo. The mayor reached out to Councilor Angelo and I yesterday asking for this one to be separated and done in August just due to the needs of the MIS. So I appreciate the communication. I appreciate you moving as quickly as you did to accommodate that, Michael. So thank you.
Thank you, President Delacio. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0. I call for an adjournment at 7:40.
Second.
Thank you, Council Tavares. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned.
I'll call the Special Committee for Tax Abatement Review to order at 7:40. Members of my committee include myself, Councilor Reynolds, and Councilor Waterman. From the docket of August 19, 2025, I entertain a motion to approve the filed disclosure of financial interest by special municipal employee for the following part-time city employee who seeks to participate in the senior tax abatement program, Irma Cispides.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. So we've received some of these disclosures in the past in this committee, and this is a current, as the motion says, a current city employee who's participating in the senior tax abatement program by providing labor in another or volunteering in another department. So this is just the disclosure that's required. So this is why this is here before us. Any questions, comments, concerns? Councilor Waterman?
I would just add, this is a wonderful program. It reaches close to, well, it could reach 150, and I recently heard it was in the 140s. So there's still room for a few people, the last I heard, but it changes daily. And it allows you to save on your income tax up to $1,000, and it's of great value. So.
Additional questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And before we adjourn this committee, I just want to reiterate an announcement that came from our city treasurer that and I believe the Sun Chronicle had an article about this over the last several days, that the FY 2026 elderly and/or disabled taxation aid fund application and guidelines are available, and they're on the city website. The application opened on July 1st, and the last date of submission is October 29th. So that's just an FYI. And for any questions, residents are directed to contact the city assessor's office. So with that, I call for an adjournment at 7:43.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned at 7:43.
And that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.